Taking Heart, Finding Our Way Together, the podcast of the International Students Conference 2024. Welcome everybody to the conference podcast. My name is Noel Norbron. I am the host of this format, and today I want to introduce this to you, as well as the International Students Conference 2024. I will start by giving you an initial overview of what this is all about. This podcast will appear every Monday. We want to use this format to keep you up to date with the planning of the ISC and involve you in the process. Each episode is divided into 3 main parts. First, the topic of the episode. We will tell you about an interesting part of the conference planning or topics related to our theme. Second, an interview or a discussion, a dialogue about an aspect previously brought up. And third, specials and announcements. We want to take you along with us in our anticipation of the project we are all working on every day, both we with the organization on site and you with the planning of elaborate trips and collecting your funds. And for this reason, I'm sitting here in the room with Nathaniel Williams, who's the head of the youth section at the Goetheanum and the artistic director of an artistic part of the conference. First, we will speak about the general questions and the general questions concerning the ISC, which are 5. The classical ones: what, who, why, when, and where. So you really get an overall picture of this event happening in April. Hey, Nathaniel.
Hey, Noel. So glad you're doing this.
Okay. Hey, could you briefly tell me what are we working on?
Well, the International Students Conference is an event that takes place every couple years, usually, and it's been going on for some time now. And it's a collaboration between the youth section at the Goetheanum and the Waldorf SV in recent years, which is a student association in Germany. And it consists in inviting and welcoming and hosting young people between the ages of 16 and 20 who are in high school from all around the world to come and to spend a little less than a week together and to have encounters, of course, and meet one another, but also to turn collectively towards some kind of important theme or aspect of life to work on it together.
Hey, I think you answered already the first 2 of my questions, and you're on the starting point of answering the question why. Why are we doing that?
That's right. Yeah, I better slow it down. Why? Well, I mean, for a lot of young people, making a trip to the Goetheanum in itself is something that they are really excited to do. And this is, of course, wonderful. But there's a deeper why that also excites young people, which is that they get together with their peers, 16 to 20-year-olds. And we're talking about looking like 600, 700 young people. And from all over the world to experience yourself, the kind of diversity of the world, of the human experience. And not only that, but at a place like the Goetheanum, which is such a significant spiritual and cultural center of our time. And of course is also intrinsically connected to the schools where they're coming from, the Waldorf schools, which have all of them, their spiritual history and roots connected to the work of the Goetheanum.
Yeah, that's a beautiful answer. Maybe I would add that we looked into the situation we see our world in at the moment and saw the urgency of searching community again. Do you agree?
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's hard to capture for listeners probably the mood that was in the room when we were talking almost a year ago now. I guess we were 12 or 14 people.
Yeah.
Almost everyone under 24, I think. Most under 20. And yeah, to just describe this consensus, this feeling of agreement that if you're going to call all these young people together for an event, that the theme should be focused on questions of interconnection and cooperation and working together.
One could say the questions of the heart, or some of the questions of the heart.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that was an important facet. The idea of trying to create an event where the questions were not just about information or something utilitarian, but actually that there was a deeper register of meaning.
Yeah. And this ISC conference, this conference we're working on, it's nearly 2 months now away.
I know. Just 8 weeks, yeah.
8 weeks.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
So it will take place in April from the 10th to the 14th.
That's right. The conference starts on Wednesday the 10th, and we'll have a whole full basket of experiences and projects and also learning opportunities. And on Sunday, we'll say farewell.
Well, it's not too far away now that we've finalized our program. And one very interesting program point is a huge artistic project which we call the collective journey of the Peace Pageant. And you happen to be the artistic director of this project we are working on already. And I would be very glad if you just go for it and tell us what's on your mind regarding this project, which is very exciting, not just for me, but I'm so sure also for all the participants who will come to this conference.
Yeah, well, I think in the context of our conversation today, there's two things that I could share. And one is, when you look at different ways of experiencing stories and telling stories and sharing art together, one thing you can pay attention to is the way that we do it either alone or that it's more of a community-oriented event. And I think that in the past, it used to be much more common for theater, artistic projects, art in general, to be much more deeply embedded in a feeling for community and connected with community festivals. And even right now, I mean, this is Fastnacht time when we're recording this in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And when you just think about the Faschingen or the festival cultures, which of course are centuries old, trace them back, how there's not really as clear of a delineation between performer and observer, and it's this huge participatory event that's irradiated with different kinds of significance for people and has been for centuries. And when you compare that to like in the United States where I'm from, the kind of fixation on certain artists or superstars, and in a way feeling that they are so special, that they, everything that they do and what they do is so beyond what a normal person could do. It kind of can lift to light a little bit of a contrast that I think our project finds itself on trying to tell the story in a collective way with all the young people and somehow being involved. One of the things that became clear when we were thinking about a conference focused on taking heart, finding our way together, that one thing we could do would be to try to create an artistic event that we really carried together. So that is one of the core parts of the conference.
Right. Yeah. You were talking about a story right now.
Right.
Could you maybe go back and tell me what story?
Yes. Well, the story is a really remarkable story, and we will not be able to tell the whole story. It's a story that has its origin in a historical event probably 800 years ago, though it's uncertain exactly when it happened. It's a story from North America. The indigenous nations that lived and still live in that area in the Northeast, around the Finger Lakes, where New York State is right now. And it's a story that is a story of nations that were in conflict in that war, finding their way together to the Iroquois Confederacy or the Haudenosaunee Confederacy.
Right.
And, it's really amazingly influential. It has a lot to do actually with American history altogether that a lot of people don't know about, and even reaches over to Europe in its significance. But even if we know that, the significance that it has for Mohawks, Seneca, Onondaga, members of the nations that are part of the Iroquois Confederacy, is actually hard to even describe. And 10 years ago, I actually worked on a project telling this story in New York, and I was very fortunate to have some advice and guidance by a culture keeper from the Mohawk Nation, and her name is Kay Olan, and we're going to be using some of that material also and reworking it and telling it in a way that's appropriate for our context. But the story itself is actually a story of taking heart, and finding our way together.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think this is an important part for our conference, because this is keeping it together as one. This is one of the ways we could make our conference a whole, not just a potpourri of many different program points. This is really something we build our conference on, which is this so important thought and theme topic of peace and togetherness. This is really a symbol, and I'm very excited to prepare this with all of you listeners of the podcast, and all of the participants will come together in a really artistic way. And I don't know if you mentioned, but it's puppetry, right?
There are some puppetry elements, large outdoor open air puppets. And it appears so that everything is in line, that we're going to actually perform it or be a part of a big storytelling kind of parade performance in Basel at a place called the Münsterplatz, which is a beautiful cobblestone area.
That's right. Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you today, Nathaniel. I'm sure we will speak again about this project, and you all, the listeners, you will hear again about this project. You will be involved in the project.
Yes.
And we're excited to work on that with you.
Well, thank you, Noel. It was great to sit down with you today.
Well, we nearly arrived at the end of our podcast episode. What is left? Of course, I want to announce something. And what I want to announce to you is that you have the chance to participate in this podcast project. So I warmly invite you to contact us. If you have something interesting, just an idea for the conference, a thought regarding the conference topic, something you want to share, something you want to discuss, please feel free to reach out to us, and then we can invite you as a special guest for an exclusive interview with you in our conference podcast. And we can talk about some of the key topics of this event beforehand.
And now that we are already speaking about the next episodes, the next one will be released next Monday, February 26th. In this episode, we will give you insights into the planning process of the ISC so far, and there will also be another interview with a conference contributor. To round off and conclude this first episode, I will read out our conference text. We wrote this many months ago in a large group and put our ideas for a student conference of this size on paper for the first time.
Through this conference, we wish to inspire courage in young students to work together and face the future with the strength that comes from a diverse and collaborative group. When we learn from each other in an open way, we see where we can combine our attributes to fill in for another, and by doing so can discover new ways to go about the issues our world is facing, ways we wouldn't be able to find each on our own. As a bundle of arrows is unsnappable, whereas a single arrow is weak, so much stronger are we as a team compared to separate individuals. But in order to find our way together, it is required of each member to find independently in themselves the will force to start tackling the immense struggles of our globe. The International Students' Conference of 2024 will take place at the Goetheanum in Switzerland, transforming each patio, field and hall into a forum of excited and passionate faces and lively voices. Guest speakers will give inspiration and share their wisdom in lectures. Workshops will provide the space for reflection and exploration so that the new inspiration will get the opportunity to take form. In between, games will be played, songs will be sung, and art will be performed and experienced, so that we will become not just a group of students, but a group of friends. Our goal is to provide a space where connections can be made across countries and even continents, so that through all those different lenses through which the world is perceived, a new clarity can be discovered.